Welcome everybody to the Hounds podcast. This episode we have a lot in store. But before we get started, I'm gonna let the whole introduction of the normal episode kind of tell y'all who's here and all that kind of good stuff. But before we get started, I had a few things I just wanted to touch on real quick. For one, guys that are paying attention to the points with the Masters one day option, I am working on getting that taken care of. We've had some difficulties getting the check there, getting the money there. That's a little part of the post office, a little bit of my fault, a little bit of waiting on some reimbursement. But it will be happening ASAP. I'm working on it, I promise, guys. So that's what I wanted to kind of start with and ask for y'all's forgiveness on that. But we are going to make it work. We are going to make it happen. Two, hope everybody's having a great hunting season. I think there are some states that are starting up this weekend. Good luck to everybody out there. Hope everybody that is already having hunting season is having a great hunting season. This past weekend, we had the opportunity to do something. I believe this is the second or third time, I can't remember exactly, that we've done it. Our hunting club, Reedy Creek Hunting Club out of Appomattox, Virginia, we got together with a company called The Fallen Outdoors. It is a nonprofit organization that helps wounded and retired vets get out into the outdoors and experience hunting, fishing, anything outdoors that they are able to do. And we were able to bring 4 vets along this weekend to come hunt with us. We had a great day. I'll be honest with you, with the wind blowing, I was surprised that we had such a good day. But I think the club together, we ended up killing 9 deer throughout the day. It was just a great day. The dogs were running great. People were shooting like they were supposed to and knocking some deer down. And at the end of the day, man, I know people probably saw the Facebook post, but it's definitely a story worth telling. And I want to take a second and tell it before we get started into the episode. The whole day was, like I said, great. The vet that was with me, Josh is his name, had a great time. He really enjoyed it. He expressed it a lot of times how much fun he had. Even though we weren't able to get him anything throughout the day. Then we finished up the last cast, picked the dogs up, and we're going back. I was getting ready to take him to his car, and it was probably about 20 minutes before light went away from us, before dark kind of set in on us. But I said, you know what? Something just told me. I was like, we need to go over to where my shop is. We got some family land where my shop's at. And it's usually some does either hanging out in front, hanging out behind, I said, we need to go see what's going on over there. Let's see if we can't get him something, at least to carry some meat home for the day. So we roll up, ease down there, and down in the bottom where I expected him to be, and didn't see anything, which is fine, it happens, no big deal. So I was like, you know what? Well, I said, and he's like, man, don't worry about it. No big deal, man. I appreciate the try. I said, something's telling me. I was like, we need to go up here by the shop and go see. So we start easing up the driveway, and about halfway up the driveway, as we're starting to crest the hill, I look over to the left, and this beautiful 8-point buck comes out. I was like, oh crap, So I tap him on the shoulder. I said, dude, look, buck. So we slam it up in park, turn the key off. I said, look, Papa's rifle, my grandpa's rifle, is in the back seat. I was like, it is dead nuts. I said, you cannot mess with this thing. If you missed, it was you, and so he's like, all right, got it. So he reaches back, grabs the gun, gets out the truck, and about time he got out and gotten ready to get set and get positioned, the daggone deer squats down in the tall grass. I'm like, oh, crap. So we give him a minute. We're like, all right, he's got to come. He's got to stand up. He can't be doing nothing. He's got to stand up. So we're scanning, we're looking, and about time I get ready to tell him, we're going to have to grab the shotgun and see if we can go spook him up. This deer has crawled through the tall grass about 100 yards downhill and stood up. I say 100 yards, probably more like 50 yards, but still, he moved a good little distance. And he stood up downhill, and I just happened to catch him standing up. And when he stood up just as pretty silhouetted broadside as you could ever ask for. I told the guy, I said, look, 50 yards down left, about 10 yards left of the big oaks. Scanned over, took and said, all right, got it. Took a deep breath. Pow! I mean, split the heart. Well, I'll tell you, one of the best shots I've seen in a long time. I'm telling you, one of the best shots. I'm pumped up. I grabbed the gun, the shotgun, just to go make sure, but I knew when he dropped it was over. So I grabbed it, I haul tail, I run over, go check on him, and I get there. He's just stone cold dead, just a perfect shot. I'm freaking pumped, man. And he gets down there, he's pumped. We're freaking all excited, man. It was so awesome. And I got to thinking about it, and it still kind of makes me tear up a little bit. My grandpa was a vet. He was a Navy vet, served in the Navy for quite a few years, and that was his gun that he passed down to me before he died. That he used to do it, to shoot that deer. And my brother, who passed away about 9 years ago, was also a veteran and was huge into veteran support programs and stuff like that. Was big into military support stuff. So, and where they're buried is in our family graveyard, was about 40 yards to the right of where the shot was taken. I can't help but think that them two and the good Lord above had something to do with all that happening right there at the end to make that story and to make that happen. It was definitely a blessing. It was definitely something I'll never forget. The vet definitely was over the moon excited, man. And we got back over to the hunting cabin at the skinning shed, and some other guys there that were skinning out some other deer, and one of them was a vet as well. And he said, you know what? He said, look, he's like, I appreciate your service, and we skinned the deer out for the guy. Just things like that, man. It's just the heart of the houndsman goes such a long way. And we skinned it out and got all the meat off of it that he wanted. And, he got to go home happy with a cooler full of meat and a nice set of horns to European mount. So I felt like I wanted to share that story on here. It's just something else that the houndsmen do. I know there's a lot of other houndsmen out there and a lot of other hunting clubs that have done things like this, and these are the kind of things that I think should be promoted. So, I just wanted to take a second and tell that story on here. Also, guys, too, this episode will also be on YouTube. This section that you just heard will not be on there, but the section, the whole rest of the podcast, the unedited version, will be on YouTube with video. We're going to start trying to do that as much as we can. Whenever we can get people to do the video recording, we're going to do that and hit the raw unedited versions on YouTube for you guys. So y'all be sure to go check that out. And without further ado, guys, here we go. Let's get into the episode. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds Tales podcast. When it's time to get ready for a field trial, deer season, or any other reason that you need to load up that dog box and you're in need of dog hunting supplies, look no further than Outdoor Dog Supply. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online Garmin sales as well as the leader in Garmin and Tritronics trade-in programs. From GPS system to dog training aids to vitamins and supplements and everything in between, put your trust in Outdoor Dog Supply. Super fast delivery, superior customer service, and a dedication to our sport. We are proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply and can't thank them enough for everything that they do for our sport. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com or shoot them a call at 757-482-1000 for any of your hound hunting needs. Thank you, Outdoor Dog Supply. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. On tonight's episode, we're joined by Mr. Chris Ingram. How are you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing very well, James. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just got little man down, put down for bed and trying to get through the rest of this week. It's a good old hump day, ain't it?
Yes, that's right. Heading into Thanksgiving. Busy time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for all the listeners out there, kind of just tell us who you are, where you're from, and kind of your hunting background.
Yeah, for sure. So, Chris Ingram here. I currently live in Middlebury, Vermont. I've been here for about 15 years or so now. Originally hail from the great state of Wisconsin, and was born and raised there. Went to school. I got into the outdoors pretty early on. My family was fairly active with fishing, hiking, camping, stuff like that. My father was a deer hunter, so
Okay.
of course, being in Wisconsin too, a little bit style of deer hunting maybe than what you're used to, but
Right.
I took my hunter safety. I was 12 years old, got out for that first year of hunting, and they had found chronic wasting disease out there. So
Oh, wow.
that sort of put things on halt. Dad and I said, let's wait to see how this pans out. We did a little bit of small gaming, I think, that same year too, just to kind of get in the woods. But yeah, so fast forward after high school and college, landed a job out here and have been here ever since and loving it.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you get to do any big game hunting up there, like as far as like your elk and stuff like that? I think there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there, right?
No, not here. No, not no elk here. We just got the whitetails.
I mean,
But
I
I got
guess in Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin. Yeah, that was sort of I think coming around. It might have been more of like a reintroduction type thing, but
Gotcha.
and even with them being on like the game farms and that the whole CWD was just a bad time to be a deer hunter or
I
getting started.
gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But thankfully, when I did move out to the Northeast here, I got more interested in bird hunting when I had more time and availability to get outdoors. I thought I was going to deer hunt again, and this area I was scouting where I had moved to ended up having wood ducks, and so
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of traded the bibs and blaze orange for waders and a shotgun, and kind of got into the duck hunting side of things, and um, after that, really kind of got into the grouse and woodcock hunting, upland bird hunting. We've got a local pheasant hunting preserve too, so got into that with the pointing bird dogs. And then fast forward a few more years from there, got into the hound sports. So
Very nice.
got a lot of great houndsmen around here, bear hunters, a few coon hunters, and so kind of personally and professionally just gotten a chance to see it all. So
That's
it's
awesome.
been very fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. How close were you to Green Bay from where you were from?
I was from the Milwaukee area, so a good
Okay.
couple hours, and of course
Gotcha.
that was like city life, almost like an extension of Chicago. But thankfully, my family had moved out to the suburbs where I spent most of my time, and still able to get out into farm country in the woods and stuff like that. But I had moved away or lost interest really before I really got into the outdoors. So of course, the pike and muskie fish and the deer
Yeah.
hunt. Like I got to go back and visit home now to get into that.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm a big Packers fan, so that's some territory for me right there. But
We can we
talk.
can get
Yeah, talking about you said you got a lot of involvement with the outdoor industry in your career, and let's kind of talk about that. Your involvement with the UKC and the hunting ops and stuff like that within that field. Kind of give us a little bit about what you got going on there.
Yeah, for sure. So I got hired by UKC, the United Kennel Club, just about 6 months ago, and working on the media and marketing team. My role as marketing promotions manager, get involved everything from events to social media to our hunting ops podcast, all sorts of different promotions and campaigns within the company. And at the time that I had started, they had begun working on this relaunch of the American Field Sportsman's Journal. So that's been my main area of focus for the last few months and bringing that back. But definitely interested in all the different things that we have going on. Again, we've got our hunting operations, which is our competitions for coonhounds and beagles, squirrel dogs, all that. We've got all breed sports too. If more conformation, and they do like dock jumping, weight pull, nose work, different events like that too. So whatever anybody likes to do with their dogs, and you can go both ways, and we've got a little bit of something for everybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, let's just dive right into that. You kind of mentioned the American Field Sportsman Journal, man. Kind of give us a little bit of the backstory on that. I remember seeing that magazine, kind of growing up, and if I remember right, and you just tell me if I'm wrong, I may be overthinking something, but definitely on the racks as you're into some of the stores, especially like Tractor Supplies and stuff like that, you got to see those magazines hanging around, and then they just kind of disappeared a little bit. Kind of give us the backstory on them, and kind of its origin story.
Sure. Yeah, it's very neat. It really goes back a very long time. The American Field was actually started because of America's first field trial. Now that's pointing dogs. Was in 1874, so 150
Wow.
years ago. It was outside of Memphis, Tennessee. And of course, once you have an event, you got to report on it. You got to keep track. You got to send the news out to its members. So the American Field turned into a publication, which originally was a weekly tabloid-sized newspaper, and
Wow.
it had all of the standings and title changes, different upcoming events like we're familiar with seeing now.
Yeah.
And even way back then, they did have other stories, fishing stories, hunting tales, trap and shooting, different like sportsman event recaps and that. So, and then really it's always been synonymous largely with like pointing dogs in those field trials. So, we're going to continue to kind of carry that on, but, we've rebranded it, kind of modernized it a little bit. And I'm excited because we're sort of taking it back to some of its roots with, being a well-rounded sportsman's publication with all those different types of stories and different things going on. Yeah.
Very nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. I guess that not to I kind of got our notes going up here, but it seems like kind of what makes it different than a lot of your other hunting magazines and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I had to kind of be some of the brains to help put this together, you look at what's out there, and there's some fantastic publications,
Right.
for hunting dogs. I mean, I won't even list titles. We've all got our favorites, lots of
That's right.
subscriptions to those, and they all do what they do very well. And so recognize that we're going to have some overlap and we're going to share some customers and that, but wanted to try to find what could make American Field in this new version different. And I think what really separates us is that and again, my idea is that we're really focused on sort of the hardcore enthusiast hunting dog owner, that DIYer, self trainer, a little more sort of like blue collar working class, largely again that sort of core audience of the United Kennel Club. And then, of course, with that, we're bringing all the types of hunting dogs together. I mean, we've got sections every issue for retrievers, bird dogs, beagles, hounds. Everybody's going to be represented in those main user groups. So, and I think again too, we're trying to build a community. This is, as there's certain fingers being pointed at different user groups, the hound hunting community, and even subsets within that, the
Right.
deer doggers and the coyote houndsmen. And so I'm excited for us to sort of be a hub, have a platform to bring everybody together and sort of unite our voices and just help each other understand what we're doing and sort of celebrate our similarities then rather than sort of pointing out our differences. So,
I like that. I like that. That's huge. And I think that was one of the main points of me making this podcast too. Of course, my center, I guess you could call it a center hub, that would be centered around the field trialing and deer dogs and stuff like that. But that branch out and that getting everybody together and reaching out and exploring all the different fields of hound hunting and dog hunting in general, and just creating a common core between all of them is so important. And it sounds like that's kind of where the drive is for the magazine.
yeah, that's really it. I think personally too, as a photographer, I'm always curious about people and their stories and the history and the different unique things that people are doing. And, we have a platform to do that. And, I hope that a reader, regardless of what type of dog they keep or how they hunt, will find interest in these stories. And, I'll add too, not just the hunting dog side of things, but again, we've got different departments for wild game cooking and conservation, hunting dog health, guns and shooting, again, being just a very well-rounded sportsman's publication. So all of those topics that we concern ourselves with throughout the year will be in there.
The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Cajun Lights, who have jumped on board to support the field trialing community. Do you have nighttime field trials? Pleasure running at night? When you need to catch that next crossing at night, put your trust in Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights is a made-in-America product out of North Carolina who has been in business for over 25 years. These are cap-style and bucket hat headlamps to free up that extra hand for your voice recorder or your GPS. Whether it's the Cajun Micro Gator for those late-night feeds, the cost-efficient Cajun Bayou for pleasure running, or the top-level Cajun Blinder for field trials, never miss a thing with these amazing lights. All the lights come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime labor warranty. These guys are excited to get into our sport, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure, if you see me at a hunt, come ask me about them. I'll have one of each style on hand ready to show you. You can visit their website at CajunLights.com, and their phone number is 888-773-3080. Thank you, Cajun Lights, for coming on board with the Hounds Tales podcast. Now let's get back to the show. Awesome. The cooking part ought to be a really neat little section in there. I know, I don't get a lot of time to watch a lot of TV and episodes of stuff, but whenever I can get down and watch the meat eater, that's sometimes I skip over the hunt just to watch what he's cooking and how he's cooking it.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too that I'm not necessarily a big guy for like doing recipes. I don't like to follow directions or be too rigid about something.
Right.
The concept for this department is to focus more on methodologies or using different equipment styles. What brining does, what marinating does, so that you and a reader can go home and kind of with that knowledge apply it to your own life. So just really trying to create a better relationship with hunters and wild food. That's the idea there.
I like that. I really like that. And it'd be kind of cool too to see I know a lot of guys, especially your DIY guys at home, struggle with the know-how of what you can utilize out of whatever game you can kill. Deer's a big animal, and a lot of times your guys are getting the shoulders, the hindquarters, back straps, tenderloins, and then calling it a day, And I'm guilty of it too sometimes, It would definitely be pretty neat to get some sections in there, of like, you can do this with this, you can take the ribs and do this, the neck meat, all that kind of stuff. That would be so
Absolutely.
neat.
Yeah, I think too, again, with, our group is bird hunters, big game hunters, small game hunters. We got all these different groups, it'd be hard to do something that's just on how to, prepare bird meat, so
Right.
it's going to be more of those like methodologies. We've got making jerky, guide to making jerky. We've got how to handle freezer burnt meat, just different things like that. So
Love that, man. Ain't nothing like some good old homemade jerky.
absolutely.
So, let's kind of talk about the reboot. It's coming up here pretty soon. I know, we'll get into some more of that later. We've got some cool news coming up here at the end for all that. But, kind of talk about the reboot. It's coming up here soon. What all is it taking to get this thing going? I know you've been hard at work, man. Every time I talk to you, it seems like you're on the grind. So, kind of tell us a little bit about, what it's taken to get to this step and, what the future looks like as far as the reboot going.
Absolutely. It's a labor of love, and I dare compare it to, childbirth of any sort, but it's like taking a baby and getting it out to the world. So we are in the middle of relaunch. We actually just this week put our first issue to press, and that's sort of a sample teaser issue that we've been using for some of our early subscribers. And if you missed out, that'll be in the store around Christmas, New Year, so you'll still be able a chance to buy that issue. But we're focused next on relaunching with our first full-length issue. We're going to be printing quarterly, so 4 times a year, 100 pages each. So that's what we're working on now, and any customers that subscribe until January 20th will, you get in before that date, you'll be getting the spring issue in your mailbox around mid to late February will be, that. But again, it's growing a brand too. It's starting social media accounts. It's getting active online, digital, building our community. Growing awareness. This is huge for me to be speaking with you and your audience. Just kind of putting the word out there, and I've been sort of recruiting writers, photographers, contributors like yourself and others that just man, it's just putting all the pieces together. It's been a big lift, and I'm excited to see once we get this off the ground. Just folks coming in, hey, I want to participate. I want to be a part of this thing, and we one other thing to say too, being a little bit unconventional perhaps, is we're going to do humor pieces and poetry and artwork, illustrations, just different forms of literary works and everything else. So, but yeah, that's what's going on right now.
I like that. I like that. If you said 100 pages about what you're shooting for,
That's it, 100 pages per
that's
issue.
that's a big magazine.
It is. Well, and it's funny because we want to cover all this stuff. Well, you got to have enough pages to do it.
That's
And
right.
like I said, we're going to have different dedicated sections, every issues for those main types of hunting dogs, and we'll have those standing departments, and we'll have some spillover too for anybody or anything that don't fit into a dedicated bucket. We've got space for that too.
I like that. I like that. That'll be really neat. I got subscriptions to magazines, and I get them in the mail, and a lot of times, I know magazine subscriptions are never really truly expensive or nothing like that, but when you get them in the mail, sometimes it's a little disappointing. You get maybe 30, 40 pages, and it's mostly pictures. And don't get me wrong, I'm a simple person. I love just looking at pictures, don't get me wrong. But, sometimes that reading material is nice, especially if you can educate yourself or learn something about, what you're looking to. So that 100 pages is going to be fantastic. I feel like that's going to be a real meaty, like when you get it in, man, it's going to feel like you actually got something.
I don't want to share all the secrets right now, but this is going to be unlike anything I think we've seen. We've made some intentional decisions to make this a legacy product. We want it to live on the shelf and live on your nightstand, and something that's going to be on the table at every camp and every clubhouse, and a collection piece. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And that'll be huge, man. I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see where it's going to take off. It sounds like y'all are really busting y'all's tail to get this thing going, and the head work that's behind it. It sounds like, man, just it's going to be something great.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
only for for y'all, but for the hound hunting community as a whole. I think that's what's going to be so important about it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll say too, again, this is the United Kennel Club publication, and we are a dog registry, but we're trying something a little different here, where this is not member based. This is not intended just for our customers. So whether you have a registered dog with us, with anybody else, or heck, even a grade dog, we're here to celebrate the bond between humans and hunting dogs. We want to be all inclusive. Everybody's welcome and invited to the table here. So yeah.
Love that. Gotta have some love for the grade dogs.
Yeah, yeah. I was just listening to something podcast this week talking about the old grade hunts that I think even started before some of the UKC sanctioned hunts.
Yeah, yeah, man. I was raised deer hunting, and that's everything we had. I didn't know what a grade dog was coming up. It was just that was a hunting dog. I didn't know when somebody told me, "Oh, you got grade dogs." I'm like, what grade do they get? I don't know what you're talking about. So I love when a good old grade dog can get some recognition and get some stories. Call me biased, but I think that a great dog are some of the hardest hunting dogs out there.
We celebrate, purebred dogs. They're there for a reason too. But I mean, heck, a lot of them came from different backgrounds and bloodlines, and we have what we have, and we got what we got. So
That's it. That's it.
yeah.
I like it. I like it. So let's kind of talk about a little bit. I think we kind of touched a little bit on it. What's some of the Can you tease us with any of the things that are going to be coming in this first issue that we're going to see coming out here pretty soon?
Yeah, certainly. So, again, with being quarterly frequency, we're largely going to sort of, combine with the seasons. So the spring, summer, fall, winter, a lot of the different topics and things happening that hunters concern themselves with will be reflected in the pages. But, I think for the spring issue, we've got a piece on shed dogs. The antler shed hunting dogs. I got a piece coming about when I spent some time with some leash tracking dogs, big game recovery dogs. So,
I like that.
sort of an all breed, sport. It's great for families and kids to get into. And I'm excited because both of those shed dogs and tracking dogs isn't something if you don't want to pull the trigger or be part of that killing of the animal, you can still get out there with a hunting dog. You can still be a part of that. um, but like I said, some wild game cooking stuff. We got a big coon hunting feature, sort of talking about a state of the union, like where we've come from in coon hunting and where we're at. Some of the other upcoming issues. We've got a squirrel dog hunting feature. We've got some incredible bear hunting photos, um, and lots of other things too. I got a piece on sight hounds, coursing dogs. There's so much to remember. Just some rare breeds and obscure forms of hunting, and
Yeah.
and a lot of good stuff along the way. So
Awesome. Awesome, man. I can't wait to. And excuse me. And I think, your true houndsmen are the ones that are going to benefit from this magazine so much. The guys that are, how do I say, interested in all forms. I've always wanted to get out and explore a lot of these other forums, and I feel like this magazine is going to be a great way to kind of live vicariously through the magazine and kind of be able to read those stories and get deep involved in some of these other different forms of hound hunting.
yeah,
Or, like you said, utilizing it in ways that necessarily might not be hunting, but utilizing hounds.
that's right. Yeah, and you might read about something that, oh, I've always wanted to do something else with my dog, and here's a person doing it. You learn how to get into it. Um, and that's just it. We really want to focus on our commonalities, and talk about the bond between hunters and dogs, and this, sort of shared passion, this shared purpose that we have. So again, regardless of where you are, what you do, but I am personally interested in helping elevate the hound hunting community,
Yeah.
especially with this platform, and kind of help these folks in this community get a place in mainstream media. And even within the hound hunting community, let's face it, there's different forms of using dogs, but to give a voice and representation for the hog dogs and deer dogs and
Hmm.
coyote dogs and some of this other stuff that you don't hear much about, and it maybe it's misrepresented, or there's some myths, like not just to the general public, but even within the hunting community.
Yep.
We can share some proper information, and who knows, maybe folks connect and trade hunts, or link up and just leave this community a better place. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And that's a great segue, kind of talking, on some of the pieces. I've been very fortunate and very blessed for y'all to ask me to kind of work on something with the coyote hunting and the coyote dogs and stuff like that. And we're kind of getting some pieces put together, getting some cool pictures taken and worked up to. And been struggling a little bit on finding time to write everything up, but I think we're getting together a pretty decent little piece, and I'm pretty excited for that. So y'all, if y'all want to see some more work done by myself, be sure to keep tuned in for the rest of this episode, and we'll tell y'all how to subscribe here at the end of this thing. But I'm definitely honored, and can't appreciate y'all enough for asking me to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Media, and I've enjoyed your writing, and again, I'm in a position, I feel very blessed to be here, to be able to provide the means, to connect and to put this together. So definitely excited to hear from more voices like yourself and other people, and get the story out there, get the information out there. We have an incredible passion for this lifestyle, and we maybe got to fight to protect it a little bit and work together. And so yeah.
We're going to take a quick second here and interrupt this episode and let you all know about our friends over at Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. Do you enjoy reading stories from houndsmen across the country, diving into real-life experiences out there in the woods with working hounds of every kind? Deer dogging, bear dogging, hog dogging, small game dogging, you name it, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. And it's bringing it to you page after page while also spreading a positive image of this beautiful sport that we all love. Be sure to sign up today, and for just $15 a year, you can have quarterly magazines filled with nothing but dog hunting sent right to your door. Check them out today at southernhoundhunting.com and get in the hunt. Let's get back to the episode. Awesome. Yeah, I got a ton of respect for that. You just mentioned one earlier, talking about the shed hunting and stuff like that. I've always tried to wrap my head around that concept. Like, how the heck do you train a dog to shed hunt? That fact, man. Like, I can't wait to sit down and read some of these stories on how it's done. Some of the stories of it being done, and those kind of things. Like, that's truly incredible, in my opinion, those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's more obtainable than people think because, you don't have to live in a whitetail mecca. You don't have to spend a ton of time. It's, you've got to find a dog that's got some drive or, retrieving instincts. And I mean, heck, even within our sport, in the hunting ops, we have the Elite Shed Dog Series, and we've got, poodles competing and different small breeds, rare breeds. It's not just the Labradors out there anymore.
No kidding.
Yep. It's men, women, children, families. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do if I went to a competition and got beat by a Labradoodle.
Yeah, you might want to start to train yourself and your dogs.
Right.
Get ready. Yep.
Right. That's pretty funny. So I want to take a back step. I accidentally skipped over a little small section at the very beginning of this thing.
Sure.
You've been involved with a lot of stuff. You've done a lot of different forums. You've got to participate in a lot of different forms of hound hunting, dog hunting, utilizing dogs. What has become your favorite that you've been able to experience and do?
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like it's maybe starting to kind of come full circle. I've seen a lot of different things, but again, I'm here in Vermont, and I'm in this sort of mixed agriculture, sort of hardwoods, river bottoms, this very mosaic of habitat, and we're covered with gray squirrels. And so I've got some friends that are over in New York State that hunt with Feist, and I've been able to go out with them, and man, that changed my life. I mean, I was thinking about getting bird dogs and flushing dogs and this and that, and I said, all I want to do is hunt with Feist now. Well, at least to get started. There's a long list after that, but I think for me it's just when I look around me again, that's what's there, that's what's plentiful, that's what I have access to. And again, I'm not competing with the deer hunters or anybody else to get on ground. We've got these small strips of cover and small wood lots and back 40s that you slip in there with a small Feist, and I've got a suppressed rifle, suppressed 22. I've got an air pistol. I'm actually looking to get into using a traditional bow to go squirrel hunting. So that's sort of been what's on my radar lately.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. That sport, the squirrel hunting with dogs, has really just boomed lately. You used to never hear nobody do it, nobody saying anything about it. It wasn't, put out there to put a light. And if you heard somebody, it was like, whoa, what makes you do that? That kind of thing. And now all of a sudden it's competitions, it's big money hunts. It's like you turn a corner, it's like, yeah, I got a squirrel dog. Yeah. I mean, it's little benefit squirrel hunts popping up everywhere. Like, that has really boomed here lately.
Yeah. Well, I think small game hunting in general is making a resurgence, and with social media and a lot of things that sort of come around again, and the abundance of squirrels, things like that. There's a lot of folks that are getting into it. I believe the current Feist program, our squirrel dog section in hunting ops, is probably our largest area of growth right now too.
Yeah.
It's just, they're smaller dogs, they're less imposing. It's pretty easy to train them, and squirrels everywhere. So it's there for everyone.
Well, and I think you make a great point too. With it's there's a constant population growth, you're not making any more land, only houses are getting more. It's getting all these lands that you used to be able to hunt and have thousands and thousands of acres are now reaching that point of only being hundreds and hundreds of acres, So
Yeah.
those small game and small game dogs, where they're not having to cover a lot of ground, are probably going to end up taking over, in the next 100 years or so. That's way later down the road, obviously, but that's almost kind of showing itself as being kind of the way of the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what's great about it too is, small gaming, even for somebody to get interested in hunting, it's not as intimidating. It's a community sport. You can walk and talk through the woods and make noise, and it's
Hmm.
such a great entry point. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I love taking people out dog hunting for the first time that have never been, especially that are like lifelong still hunters,
Mm.
and never done it. And you take them out and you get out the truck and they're like, "All right, what are we doing?" I'm like, "What are you whispering for? Like, just talk, man. Like, it's okay."
Yeah. And that's why I continue to be a terrible neighbor. Be moving. I got to be looking around, being busy. So as
Right.
soon as I was able to find some of these other forms of hunting, it just settled in. It just felt better. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I get that 100%. I get that 100%. Let's see. All right, so let's talk about the future of the magazine. We've talked about getting it started, where it's at, kind of what the present is, and the things that are happening. I know we kind of talked a little bit about some of the things that we're going to have in the magazine, but what are some other topics, some other future plans that you have for the magazine, things that you want to see covered in it?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, on one level, I'm excited to just get this started, and I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of it, and, you know, sort of watching folks come in too, our contributors or readers. I want this to be a brand of the people, by the people, for the people sort of thing, and to just, see from contributors and different people telling their stories, wanting to be involved, trying to see where that grows. And then I think as a brand, we're, certainly looking to be more than just a magazine. We want to create a community. We want to be on digital, social, all the different forms of media, connecting with our audience, and interacting and providing that, sharing content, and participation that way. So, a couple of things out in the future, but we'll start with this publication and see where it goes.
I love that. I love that. That's great. A lot of people don't realize that it's real easy to, and I fought this problem when I got the podcast kind of back started. I almost looked too far into the future instead of paying attention to the present. And it kind of made you get a little starstruck and little over ambitious, I guess you could say. And I love the fact that y'all are kind of focused on let's get it started, let's get it doing now, and then we'll move on, into the future and see what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's almost radical in 2024 to be starting a publication. It's like the cost of printing, the cost of mailing.
Right.
It's not cheap, and I feel like we're selling a premium product. We've got our subscription price, and
Hmm.
we know people can be sometimes choosy how they spend their access money, and so it's always it's a blessing to gain another customer, and we appreciate that. But yeah, we just, again, whether that involves, video series and digital podcasts, whatever that might be, we recognize people are everywhere. We just kind of want to meet them where they are.
I like that. I like that. And you make a good point. You know, my dad actually worked at a printing factory. Like, it was a major printing factory. Had a lot of big companies that were involved. And, I mean, you never would have thought 10, 15 years ago, when he was making his way up through the ranks and kind of building his career, that it would have been a plant that shut down. And sure enough, about 4 or 5 years ago, they just couldn't keep up. It was such a big facility. The number of prints was down so much they had to shut down. And it's a sad thing, in my opinion, to see, because, especially, a lot of the stuff they were printing was sale magazines and stuff like that. So those weren't, that kind of thing. But to be able to, Like, I have my favorite magazines over here in a box, and they're stored away and over in a sealed box. That way, in 20 years, I can say, "Man, look at this." Here's this story from back when we used to be able to do this thing, and this is when I made my first champion. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think what y'all are doing with the hard cover and not just going straight to digital and doing nothing but digital, I think that's going to be huge. Like you said in the beginning, it's going to be something you can have at your nightstand that the next generation can say, "Hey, I found my dad's old magazine, and this is the kind of hunting they were talking about doing back then. Ain't this cool?"
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah, yeah, and I think our pages will be filled with sort of that timeless, that evergreen content. It's not just a trend, it's not just a fad, it's not just the seasonal gear review or the latest and greatest piece of tech or whatever else. It's real stories, it's real people, it's for the ages. Yeah.
I like that. I love that. I got a lot of respect for that. So what other? Let's see. What is there any other major plans? I know we kind of talked about that a little bit. Is there any other major plans? Like, a question I had, I was thinking about while we were sitting here talking. Is it going to stay quarterly, or are y'all thinking about trying to up it maybe every 2 months, every month, something like that? Or you just kind of? I know it's a see how it goes, see how it grows kind of thing.
Yeah.
But is that possibly a goal for the magazine?
Yeah, I think we're just going to get started, kind of test the water, see how he's feeling about everything. We'll certainly respond to the marketplace and our customer base here if the demand is up and the timing is right and everything looks good. Who knows what to say. But another thing to say too is just as we're getting started too, we're running lots of different promotions and special giveaways and different incentives. So definitely going to want to stay tuned with that. Especially as we head into the holidays and the kind of new year and a couple months now just away from the relaunch. So definitely want to stay tuned to that.
I love that. Love that, man. So where are some of the places that we can find this magazine, especially to start, and where do you plan on being able to provide the magazine? Is it a trying to get it into stores kind of thing? I'll let you kind of take the reins. Where do we find it now, and then where do you want to be able to see it go?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to start with just a simple subscription model. So it's currently available on our website, and we'll give those details later. But head to the website to learn more about our brand, our publication, what you can expect. There's a link to the store there. Future forecast is definitely to get into retail, wholesale newsstands, maybe sporting goods stores. We're just starting to kind of think about that too. So, again, the future is wide open with that.
Right, right. I think that'd be really neat, to be able to see a hound hunting magazine in the store. Every now and then I'll peep in, at the Tractor Supply or even in some of the local, mom and pop shops and stuff like that that actually still have magazine stands. And I'm always curious. I'm always looking to see. I kind of browse through them sometimes just to see if there's anything about dog hunting. And once in a blue moon, you might catch something. So it'll be. If that ever does, come about, it'll be really neat to be able to see something like that in a store for people to just pick up and say, "Hey, man, look at this. This is neat. This is different. This is cool."
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, even with UKC, with our different events and the different things that we're involved with, there's no telling where we could end up being in a few years from now.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And so the UKC is really the big backer behind this magazine.
That's
Correct?
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, United Kennel Club is the publisher. This is one of the brands within our portfolio. And maybe to give a little more context here too, when 3 years ago when UKC purchased the American Field, it was the old publication. It was there was sort of a registry that was associated with this called the Field Dog Stud Book that went back just as long and mostly bird dogs, but I believe they had coonhounds, beagles, other types of dogs.
Hmm.
So that was part of it. There was the field trial, the pointing dog sport. Yeah, there's a couple of different bits and pieces, the publishing company as well. So it was sort of this package deal that we've taken on, and we've, migrated most of those components into our ecosystem. And this was sort of one of the last pieces there. So this is relaunching the journal in a very new way, sort of modernizing it, but having some sort of nostalgic ties, and a lot of paying homage to where it came from. Yeah.
I like that. So are y'all planning on having the registry still in the magazine, or is that something that will be taken out?
That's a really good question. So a lot of the American Field customers that were familiar with the old publication, what we've done is we've created a new monthly newsletter, what we call the UKC Field. So that's again for that bird dog, the field trial, pointing dog segment, for their titles and events and different things
Yeah, yeah.
with that sport.
Right.
That's what they're getting. So we've separated that. This is going to be purely editorial. So this is going to be just the stories, the art, the features and different things like that. Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea. I mean, I think that's really, of course, it'd be really neat to kind of look and see some of the things in the back. But for guys like me that have nothing to do with those field trials, which is funny, I'll touch on that in a second. It's just kind of a taking up of space. That's areas where you could have stories or other articles in the magazine that I'd love to be able to read. But
Sure.
instead, I have a bunch of stuff that I don't understand. So no,
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah, and any of our customers who are familiar with like our Cougar sports, keeping lines going. We've got the UKC field, we've got the hunting retriever. So again, if you're in that competition, if you're in that particular segment, those will continue. This is just there to complement it, really. Yeah.
Right, right. So I wanted to touch on something that I've picked up. We talk about the difference in the different areas, the different sports, the different dogs that are being utilized. When you say field trial dogs, you're talking retrievers and those kind of things, and the pointing dogs and those kind of things. That is not what we think of down here when you say field trial.
Yeah. We got to start that out right from the back.
Right, right. Yeah, when you say field trial, man, it is
Yeah.
600 dogs, 500 dogs, 300 dogs out there trying to chase a coyote or a fox, or that's a field trial, right? That's
Yeah.
our kind of stuff. It's Walker Hounds out there, going high pace. It's not the other style, the northeastern style, but it's so funny to hear that lingo being used differently, and I think that'll be really neat to be able to read those magazine articles and see that, like, okay, hey, they're calling this field trialing up here. This is what we call it down here, and it's completely different, but it's called the same.
Um, Even the Beaglers have their field trials. Some
Right.
of it is split between different registries. It might be a regional term, different competitions and all of that. So it's funny. Yeah, you almost got to kind of sort it out. Hey, now what are we talking to? What is this? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. What kind of field trial are we speaking about here?
that's right.
I love it. I love it. So, we talked a little bit here before. We'll save this opportunity that we talked about for the last thing before we get off of here. We'll kind of hit one of our last closing topics here. Being in this hound hunting. Being this is a hound hunting podcast. Excuse me, I got my words tangled up there for a second. You've seen all the different forms. You kind of talked on it a little bit there, so I think I kind of have an idea where you're going to go with this. But, what do you see as houndsmen, dog hunters, whatever you want to call it, across the country? Whatever, even across the globe, however you want to put it. There's hound hunting in all different kinds of countries, different forms. What is something that, in your opinion, as being able to see all these different forms like you do, what is something, in your opinion, that you think we can do to help preserve the sport as a whole?
Yeah, the opinion that I'll give is based on my experience, and again, coming from a place of just pure curiosity and interest, wanting to get proper information is like I put myself out there. I picked up the phone or made contact with some of these houndsmen and said, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, here's my interest level. I didn't know anything about bear hounding. I thought the hounds went and dispatched the bear, or what I
Right.
mean. Like you just don't know, and all this propaganda from the antis. So I would say the biggest thing at houndsman that we can do is, number one, put yourself out there. So if you have a question or a curiosity about some other form of dog hunting that you don't know about, that's not in your area, pick up the phone, send a message, get in touch with somebody. And on the other end of that, like if you are somebody on the receiving end of that, and somebody wants to go out, somebody wants to see it, attend an event or ride in the truck, be a part of that, have an open mind, and
Yeah.
create that opportunity for that person. Because again, like the more unified we are, the better we're going to be. So when our brothers and sisters in Colorado, call us up and need some help, or something's happening here in Vermont or down south, wherever it might be, we're more informed, we're more connected, we're more supportive. So that would be what I would say to do. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm glad when you were talking to the first point of that, I was like, man, I'm glad you brought the second point up, because there's a lot of times, man, where I see where guys, and I've heard people talk like that, have reached out to me and asked questions and stuff like that. And I don't claim to be an expert on anything. I really don't. Um, I know I still have a lot of learning to do. But whenever somebody asks, I try to be as genuine and as heartfelt as I can about it. And I think that's what a lot of guys worry, because you see so much negativity on Facebook and stuff like that. You see guys ask questions and just get ripped apart on Facebook, and it's so sad to see. It's such a terrible thing, and I think if we could all just take a second and say, hey, at one point I didn't know that answer to that question, and just be a little more humble about your answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I love everything that you said there, though, but
Yeah.
that's perfect.
And if I'll just add one last piece about that
Yeah.
is, we all have to be a little bit vulnerable here. And again, I don't claim to be a houndsman or bird dog, any type in particular, but I think hound hunters in general have kept their lifestyle and their everything a little bit tighter to the chest. And, when you keep it that close, it's not able to go out there and impact or influence or inspire somebody else. So, especially now with a lot of targets on the back, there's groups of folks that want to eliminate our lifestyle, and if we're not out there defending it, they're going to take it away. So you gotta kind of be a little bit vulnerable. You gotta
Yep.
kind of give a little bit. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. It is, man. We could talk about that. That could be a whole nother episode right there. But yeah,
I
I
know.
love everything you're saying, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sure.
So we got something pretty cool coming. We talked right here before the episode. Something before we finish this thing up. I want you to kind of take the reins on it. There's an opportunity that you're going to provide for our listeners, and I'll let you kind of take the wheels here.
Sure, sure. Thanks, James. And I'm sure you'll be good about helping us put all this information in the show notes. And
Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, a couple things I just want to touch on. Again, if anybody has any interest in contributing, any type of content, get in touch with me. I'll share my email. It's on our website as well. I'm on social media. Find the journal on social media. We've got a couple different places for just like ordinary folks to submit photos or short essays. If you're semi-professional, whatever, all different levels. We have all of those doors open. So, in order to learn more about us, to subscribe, our website is journal.americanfield.com. And there you can find again more about us, find out how to subscribe, how to contribute, how to advertise, all those different things. And again, we're on the social media channels. And then what we'd like to do is, we're super happy to be here to talk about this, and especially to connect with you and your audience, James, that we're going to extend a discount offer to all the listeners of this episode, and anybody that's interested when they're in the store to take 10% off of a 1-year subscription or 20% off of a 2-year subscription. I'm going to use the code HoundsTales, at checkout. And we'll put that in the show notes. And we just want to give the listeners a chance to get on some of this firsthand. If you want to get that spring issue, subscribe by January 20th, and we'll send that to you.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. I appreciate that so much. You know,
Absolutely.
that's very it's a big honor for me for y'all to give my listeners a discount. You know, that's incredible. So y'all heard them. You know, if you go to their website, use the discount code Houndstails. It's 10% for 1 year, 20% for another. So y'all be sure to utilize that, guys. That's awesome. And I think this is going to be a huge thing for the hound hunting community, and I think y'all are doing it at just the perfect time too. I really do. So
yeah, thank you, and would love to hear any feedback if anybody's got anything to say, good or bad, or what can we do better here. We're trying to provide the means and a platform, but we cannot do it without the help of the hound hunting and all the dog hunters out there.
Love that, man. I love that, man. I can't wait. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get the issues in and see what it's all about, man. And I can't thank you enough for having so much interest in the podcast and wanting to come on here and talk about the magazine. It's definitely an honor, and I appreciate everything that you've done for that.
You bet, James. I really appreciate it. Great to connect with you and the listeners. So happy to be here. So thanks very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So right before we get off, man, any last minute shout outs, any big thanks or anything like that you want to give before we get off there?
Oh man, I'm excited to keep getting to work, and just super blessed and privileged to be here, and like I said, excited to start to hear from people about what they think and what we can start to do better.
Love it, man. Love it, man. So, well, guys, y'all heard it here. I can't wait to get this thing going and get this thing dropped. And thank y'all so much for listening, guys. Be sure to check these guys out. Use that discount code. Be sure to subscribe not only to their magazine, to the Journal, and but don't forget to subscribe to me too. If you haven't done it yet, be sure to do that. And I thank y'all so much for listening, guys. And we'll catch y'all in the next one. And like always, guys, happy hunting.
See ya.